Well, hello, I'm Alex, and today I've got an idea for making zines. So you can use this simple zine format to develop a daily practice. It's small, it's little, you can take it with you anywhere you go. It's perfect for prompts, and it's perfect for when you don't have time. You know how I'm always saying, it's easy to spend a few minutes a day in creative play. I'm sure some of you are like, well, it's easy for you to say you're an artist. So, I'm making these videos for you to take play breaks with me. This is your creativity timeout, baby. Just grab whatever supplies you have on hand, work alongside me, don't worry. I'm keeping this no fuss fabulous, easy peasy. Go ahead, check it out. Today's Daily Play with Zines is all about ink blots. So, if you haven't prepared a zine for this video, look at the video that says how to make a zine and go ahead and prepare your paper. Just keep in mind for ink blots, the thicker your paper, the better. And it can be big too if you want. If you can buy a block of thick paper for like arts and crafts where it's more than standard paper size, maybe 1.5 times the size of a sheet of paper, and the paper's thicker and it's like a multi-use type paper, so it's not expensive like watercolor paper, but it is thicker. Go ahead and get yourself something like that, tear a sheet out and fold it into a zine, and then you'll be ready. And then the only other thing I would say is protect your work surface. You're going to want your inks. So these are inexpensive inks you can get from office supply stores. They're used to add ink to stamp pads when they start getting dry. We love these inks for ink blots because they're water soluble and they dry really quickly. And let's just get going here. I'm going to start by showing you a little zine I've already done. Well, I should say a big zine I've already done with ink blots. So this is where you drip the ink and then you fold over the paper and you squish it down and then you open it and then you get these designs. And typically you go in more than once. I mean, sometimes you get the most amazing thing in one go. But feel free to keep adding more ink to keep changing your image until you're happy with it. Now what you're going to find is that when you get ink in the spine of what you're folding over, in the inside seam here, that's when these ink blots start looking like animals or insects or bats or butterflies, because this ends up looking like what might be thought of as the body, and then the other parts look like the wings. But if you don't get ink in there, or very little ink in there, then you get two symmetrical blots, but they don't necessarily look like they belong together. So this looks like it could be a landscape, but these two parts don't necessarily look like they're the same thing unless you wanted to turn this into a monster, and maybe these are the eyes and you make a big face. This one I definitely went in several times to get this blot happening, and this one I just love it so much I don't think I would want to doodle over it. The reason I'm bringing up whether or not you want it to look like it's one image or two in essence is because if you're going to take on this idea of daily play with zines, then you're going to be making an ink blot every day. And if you were to spend a few minutes doodling, I would recommend you only doodle one page of it, okay? And if it's this kind of doodle and you come in the next day and you've already doodled this side, then I would just recommend you cover that up and you doodle this side without looking at what you did the day before, because it's really hard to not want to make it symmetrical. So that's just my little bit of advice. If you're doodling a little bit every day after you've already made the ink blot, so one way to go would be to fill your zine with the ink blots. That's what you do one day, and then for the rest of the week you just come in and doodle one page like this, covering up what you did the day before. Okay, so let's get started and make one of these. I'm going to use blue ink. So here you can see this is one giant piece of paper that I turned into a zine, and it's nice and thick, and we're just gonna go with it. Don't get too much ink on here because you don't have a very big surface, but you could start with something like this. Oops, let me see. Okay, what did we get? All right, so this paper doesn't absorb very well. So I'm just gonna add more until I'm happy with it. That's why I said most of the time you don't do it in one go. Ooh, now it's getting interesting. Most of the time you're gonna go in and I'm just gonna keep adding until you have something that is pleasing to you, or maybe more interesting to you when it comes to adding lines later. So what do you think? I think that's a pretty good start. So imagine this is the first day of daily play with zines using ink blots. Maybe you just spend the first day filling in your, so have your scrap paper around, filling in your zine, and then you can spend the rest of the week doodling, one doodle per day. Ooh, see? Okay, what happens if I try to push some of that ink down? I didn't do very much with that. So that's interesting, very different from this. This might be an interesting one to use like a white paint pen. So if you can get one of these paint pens, a thin tip one, you'll have fun. And that's another way you can sort of switch it up. One day you use a black pen, the next day you use a white pen. I'm just gonna randomly see what happens if I don't even try to make anything. And I'm getting ink everywhere. Ooh, that's kind of cute. All right, I need to really sort of flatten that out a little bit. So there you go. So I got three very different things here, and I could easily see how if you doodled this one day with black and then doodled this with a colored pencil, or just a different kind of doodle. Maybe here you're doodling only inside the blue areas and here you're doodling only inside the white areas. Like I said, cover up what you did before because it's gonna distract you from coming up with like a different way of doodling, especially when it's like this. You could come in with a different color, like if you didn't like that. But these very big areas of a dark color are perfect for the white paint pen. I would do that one there. And here it's kind of, I think it's very easy to imagine how different that could be depending on which parts you doodle on. Okay, so while this is drying, I wanted to come in and show you an example of doodling, and I thought I would take this guy, and I actually thought, let's see, is this centered? I actually thought I would just add a splat of blue and a splat of red, and then see what happens when I stamp those down. Where did it go? So I kind of like that. That makes me happy. That makes me very happy. That makes it more fun for me to color it in. So since I wanted to color it in right away, let's see if I can, okay. So you can always put some paper on it and try to pull off any excess ink, especially if your paper isn't very absorbent. And if you're using Sharpies and paint pens, they're pretty forgiving when it comes to working over slightly wet colors. So I hope this one works. Yeah. So what can we do here? I'm gonna come here, I don't know, but I definitely want it to be different. I'm gonna come in here and let's see, what can we do? You know what? I'm gonna wait and go in with the black first. So I'm just going to so this paper's pretty rough. I'm just gonna see what happens if I go and do something like this. So I'm just adding shapes here. What else can I do? And is there anything I want to do inside? Oh, I love how the red is leaking into the blue. It's like making a new color. And if I went into the here, oops, I just threw my pen. All right. Sometimes it takes more than one go for the white paint pen to sit on top of that ink, so that's okay. You can go over it a few times. So I'm just going to do a design here of repeating arcs and maybe a circle here. Let that dry for a second. And maybe I can do a star here. And something like that there. So give it a second. If you have pens with varying thicknesses, it might be nice to play with that as well. So I'm going to go back in here now and see if I can't lighten this up. Yeah. So it's already looking more white now at a second. I might have to do this 2 or 3 times, but that's probably good enough for me. I think is not quite dry yet. So I'm gonna let that dry for a second. More doodles. Let's see. The paint is sticky, so you really do have to be patient with the white paint. Patience isn't your thing, then don't even try this stuff. I have a hard time with paint pens sometimes. They don't always work when I want them to, and then they're sticky for a long time. I tend to close things up and put them away, and you just have to sort of wait and let it dry, because if you close it and it's sticky, then when you open it, you're gonna have some surprises. Okay, so it would be easy to imagine if you did this one day and did this side completely differently another day, right? So one way to doodle is to doodle. You doodle into the blots themselves, you doodle in the negative space around the blots. You create something out of all of it, like this could maybe be a giant flower or something. Like imagine I made giant leaves here, and this is the flower itself, and this is, I don't know, part of the background. Or you can just think about decorating it, adding dots. Then you can also add more ink. So if I wanted to really make this one different, I could, what if I added, I was going to say you could add ink without transferring it to the other page, but for that you would need some paper. So what if I wanted to add ink here, but I don't want it on the other side because it's just part of this doodle? We'll just use a piece of paper to get that where you want it. So that was kind of fun. Maybe I'll do that again. Maybe I'll do that again. I could add just a tiny drop of blue right there. Come in here. Get that like that. Up a little bit more. Now what was really fun here is that because I'd had the paint pen, I used the paint pen and I had that paint down already. When I put ink over it, it goes underneath, like it won't stay on top of that paint. It just goes everywhere. But that paint, it's kind of like a resist. So, and then you can clean that off. So that's like a resist. So that's an interesting effect. You could do all kinds of lines in white paint pen, like if you end up with a really dark ink blot. And then keep adding ink, and then when you open it, you'll see that the white lines are staying white, whereas the background has changed. That's pretty fun too. All right, I'm calling this a day. So have fun. Like I said, leave it open if you've added white paint. And then I wanted to quickly, just at the end here, silently show you some fun ink blots. This is an accordion book, which is a little more complicated to make than a zine. But isn't it just incredible? All the different types of imagery you can create. Okay, I hope you had fun taking this tiny play break with me. Be honest, it was super easy. You know, when it comes to your creativity, it's never about what you're making. It's about how you feel while you're making it, right? Okay, I've got lots more videos on my YouTube channel here, so subscribe, stay tuned, play. Come back and get your daily dose of make stuff feel good energy. Thank you so much for being here, and sparkle on.